So this is part 4 of creating the zoom range slider in Chart.js 4. So what we want to do now, we have so far the actions being triggered. We know that we have a mouse down, we have a mouse move. So we want to blend them together. So what we're going to do here is, well, first of all, we're going to check, and I'm going to use a trick for this, and we call this hoisting. And a hoisting is basically we need to communicate certain values to multiple places, but because of that, I need to hoist it, and hoisting means adding a flag, or like when you hoist a flag is when you pull the flag and it slowly goes up. So basically a value that will, well, it is assigned somewhere else, the value is at the very top and it can communicate all over the place, which is very useful for our case. So what I'm going to say here is a let value. Make sure it's a let value because we will assign this value later on. So we're going to say here is dragging. So this is the trick, and by default we set this on false. So what I'm going to do here now is I have this here and I want to blend them together, and all I want to do is if the mouse is down, we're going to say is dragging equals true, because now we're dragging basically because we have a mouse down. And then we can do, of course, here something very nice. So we have this here, we can say here the following, and so I'm going to if statement, and we can say here the is dragging equals true. In that case, what I want to do here, or we can even say is dragging, I guess that will understand it already because then it will be considered as true. Well, we can see here if it will do something. Then we're going to say now, okay, let's see if that works. So if I do this, open up the console log, we drag, but if I move now here, we still have the okay. Alright, did I refresh this? You can see it doesn't work, but if I click this, alright, so as you can see here, I'm clicking it, and then after I move, it will always be triggered. So this is fine, but it means that I need to have a deactivator because this dragging value has consistently, or will stay consistently true until we say, if we are mouse up, we want the dragging to be set on false. So we're going to say here, set this on false if I do mouse up, or basically just release the mouse button. So now if I drag this, okay, now if I move without the mouse down, or I put the mouse up, and it works nicely. And then if I do press again, and then there you are. So this works. So let's start to work on adjusting the position. So what I can do here is the following. I can say here constant, and then what I want to do here is basically, well, let's see what I'm going to do here. I want to get a value, and this value here will basically start to tell where I'm going to move this. Because we have here many values here that will be related to this, I need to understand, alright, where's the position of this? And as we scroll around here or slide around here, it will match with that position, and then it starts to remove or add up these bars. So to do that, I'm going to say a value, and then what I'm going to do here is the following. I need to get the argument x coordinate. So I'm going to say here args dot, and I'm going to say event.x, and let me just show you what this gives. This gives us the exact coordinate. If I save this, refresh, if I move this, you can see here, this is the coordinate specifically on the canvas only, because it goes to 0 here. And this is the reason why we have here the left. You can see here we have this part that we need to skip, because here it starts to count. So this is very important to understand. So we have this value, but we're not done here. What I want to do is, I want to calculate, as we move in, how many pixels and all these, to make it relative. Alright, if we are hitting 1, so we have here how many items? Well, what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to say divide this by width and then plus left. So that's the first thing. Why the width plus left? Because the width here calculates this entire item. We could even do just right, because the right is just the full value in items. So that's fine, of the full value at this point, because it would just be the number. But it's what you prefer. I guess we can just even fine tune it or refactor it like that. So just lesser values or lesser code. So then we have this. What I want to do now, and this is the logic, we're going to calculate here, let's say here the let value, min value, and this min value will be the value, and then we're going to multiply this by the amount of data labels we have here, because that is basically what we show here. We can count then how many points there are, or segments that we need to skip. So we can say here data.labels and just get the length of that. So I'm going to say here data.labels.length, but then I want to do, of course, -1. The reason why is this is an array, we start with index 0. So that's why we have like that. Alright, so once I have that, we have this value here, save, refresh. So now if I move this, as you can see here, as I move over, it will calculate how many index numbers it has. And if I'm not mistaken, it should have 12 or something like that. Well, it's 13 basically. There we are. We are hitting here at 13 once we hit at the very end. And that is correct because that's this one here. Although I thought we had 3 parts of this. Let me double check my code here. Alright, so I had here, I probably copied only twice this, but I want to have a third one because we have here 3 times these sequences. So let's put them all together. That would be more suitable, and at the very end we should get here whatever the value is, 19 or 20 if you round up a little bit. Well, if we hit the very end, it will be 20. So that is fine, because we can slide it to the right side at this very point. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to scroll down here and start working on adding the value. Or what I will do, we'll do this in the next video. We're going to start working on the value, making sure that the movement is starting to work.